It's a really nice crowd, and it's encouraging to see such interest in agriculture technology. Take a few minutes. I want to talk about animal health and what's going on in the space. It's a really exciting time in animal health. And in fact, some have called it the golden age of animal health, and we're really at the beginning of it. There's been two huge mergers in the space in the last just few months, actually. The first to complete was the Elanco-Novartis merger, which completed last year. The second is underway, which is a merger between Boehringer Ingelheim and Mariel, and that is in progress. Those two mergers have a combined valuation of about $18 billion. In fact, in addition to these large, more well-known mergers, there were about 50 deals in 2015 that Animal Farm tracked last year. And in fact, these were in varying sizes from very large companies. These included to much smaller companies. And they varied in sector. They went all the way from medicated feed additives to vaccines to nutraceuticals. And vaccines remain a really hot target within the acquisition space. And so as we see this activity, we have to ask ourselves, what's driving these acquisitions? What's driving this change? Particularly, you have large, well-established companies. What's the reason for this? There are three primary in my view, and some of them have multiple reasons, but the primary ones would be product and category diversification. In some cases, to improve geographic strength, particularly for the multinationals, this comes into play, and then also portfolio optimization. For the remaining of this talk, I'd like to focus in on food animal health. It's an area that I've spent most of my career in and most comfortable with, and I think I have some insights I'd like to share with you. Given that there's greater restrictions on the use of food animal antibiotics in use that are coming into play this year, and also consumer demand and customer demand for alternatives, there really is a need and really frankly an unmet need for some other categories. These would include preventative products as well as non-antibiotic therapy alternatives. I'll be clear, there's going to remain a clear need and a necessity for antibiotics in food animal production, but the way we use them is changing. And that's something, I say the paradigm shifted. We've been saying for years in this business that the paradigm is shifting. And I think we're finally at the point where we can say the paradigm has shifted. And this in part is what's driving animal health companies to look for products and innovation outside traditional spaces. So we're looking at things like vaccines, probiotics, bacteriophage therapies. I think GMOs will have a place in this mix as well. Seen some very cool things in next generation plant-based parasiticides and therapeutics. So there's a wide array of opportunities, and a lot of these are coming out of the university space. The role I see for startups, particularly being at Research Park, is in the product development piece of this. Large company development products are not coming out at the pace that are required to meet the market demands. These companies are going to meet this need through acquisition of targeted developed products. The difference between where we're at now and where we've been for years is that for years, most companies have managed very nice portfolios through incremental innovation. And today what we're entering is a period of radical innovation that's really being developed in smaller places like our Research Park and others that are now being acquired and being integrated into these larger companies. And again, there's a huge opportunity and an unmet need that's not being addressed today. And so there's a couple good examples I'd like to share with how the industry is supporting this innovation. First, in Kansas City, we have the Kansas City Animal Health Corridor. They were really created to support a major industry in their region. And they had a built-in advantage. They have a huge legacy presence, starting back all the way from the cattle and the railroad days. They have two major universities. They're about 150 miles each way, so there's a lot of collaboration within that space. And they do have a diverse animal health coalition. It runs all the way from major food producers to large global animal health companies. And they've done a nice job at that. And so one of the questions that was asked of me as we put together this presentation is, how do we participate in that sort of ecosystem? One, I'd say I think we are. But the other is, I think if we want a more coordinated effort to focus in on animal health, I think we need to identify near-term and existing company opportunities. Let's focus on those. We don't need to be everything to everybody. Let's pick a couple of segments and really put our efforts behind those. The other thing is, I dare say, cooperate with another university. Purdue would be a good example. I use Kansas City as an example of having two major universities, and they clearly leverage those two as resources in the space. I think the University of Illinois could do the same. And then again, focus is going to be necessary because we are in a transition where it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to be everything to everybody, but there are key assets that this university has and the region has that could be leveraged to support entrepreneurs. And particularly an example is Aptimmune, the company that I joined last year in June following our Series A funding. Dr. Federico Zuckerman is a researcher here, has inventions, and brought those out of the university, started a company, and we're now taking those inventions and we're turning them into a business. And we're doing that through the support of the university, through the support of Enterprise Works, and through the support of our investors. And so this is, I think, a fantastic example of how to help support and develop a company. For those of you in the room who are thinking about starting a company but aren't really sure if you want to take the step, I would say do it. It's a lot of work. It's difficult at times, but it's a lot of fun, and it'll be worth it in the end. I'll leave you with a couple of thoughts. Be persistent. Some people are going to call you obsessed. That's okay. That's probably a mark that you're focused and you're doing things right. The other thing I'd say is seek a mentor. Seek somebody who you can get trusted advice from, and somebody who's going to encourage you as you proceed through the process. With that, I will introduce Tony Giacomo. Thank you.